CLC. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome everybody to the last regular season episode of The Spread for the 2017 season. I'm your host Jim Sella. The Pittsburgh Steelers beat down the Houston Texans last week 34-6. Wasn't even close. Houston's quarterback play was pathetic. They didn't even get 100 yards passing in this game, although they were able to run the ball very well. Couldn't capitalize on that. Steelers just kind of shut them down. There's not much to say about this game, guys. It was just a blowout. The Steelers rarely win that big on the road. I didn't have them covering the spread last week, if you listened, but I did have them winning the football game. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get too excited about this. They had no quarterback. I mean, absolutely no quarterback. TJ Yates, complete garbage. His backup, whatever that Jamoke's name was, complete garbage. Neither of those guys were any good. Neither of them were going to do anything. So the Steelers should have won that game the way that they did. So it's not surprising to me. Now, another thing that's not surprising to me, and this is definitely the biggest story so far this week in Pittsburgh, is the release of James Harrison 2 days before the Houston Texans game. And then the subsequent signing by James Harrison with the New England Patriots after his release. At first, you seen almost everybody jump all over the Steelers' front office and coaching staff. Why did you release Debo? Oh, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, let me tell you this. Sliced bread is pretty damn good, and James Harrison doesn't even come close. I don't have no James Harrison sandwiches whenever I'm going to lunch. Come on, man. But seriously, anybody who is surprised by this James Harrison saga, I don't know where you've been during his whole career. I mean, Harrison has been a dick his whole career. The guy is an admitted domestic abuser. So about a decade ago, and this comes from a USA Today article, you can go online and look it up. Harrison busted through a door, literally broke through the door, slapped his girlfriend down to the ground, and stole the baby out of her arms. Some issue he had with whether he was going to get baptized or wasn't going to get baptized or whatever the issue was. It doesn't matter. You don't smash through a door, slap your girlfriend to the ground, and take a baby. You don't do any of those things. But everybody overlooked it. Because Harrison was a great player. He got all the sacks. He was ripping quarterbacks' heads off. He was running interceptions back 100 yards in the Super Bowl to help the Steelers win. Harrison was great. Absolutely great. There was about a 4 or 5 year period. He was just completely unstoppable. If you didn't hold him, you got no shot. He was going to murder your quarterback back there. He was murdering dudes in Cleveland out on the field. Not only did he body slam a fan, which was awesome, so I'm not hating on him for that, but the dude was headhunting in Cleveland, knocked the receiver out, knocked the running back out. I mean, this guy was just blowing people up. Now, yes, he changed the way he played. He stopped doing those things. All well and good. Flash forward to this season. Going into the year, the Steelers told Harrison, you're going to get around 25% of the snaps. They wanted the young guys, Watt and Bud Dupree, to be able to come in, play well, and play a lot. They didn't want to have to take them off the field. They didn't want to hinder that production level. Harrison agreed, came back, signed a 2-year deal. Now, the issue is TJ Watt ended up being a lot better than what most people thought he was going to be. Now, don't get me wrong. We all thought he was going to be good. He's a first-round draft pick. The Steelers thought he was going to be good. They took him at that spot because they thought he had the tools to be a good linebacker. And he has been a good linebacker. Listen to this. TJ Watt is the only linebacker, not one of 10, not one of 5, not one of 3, the only linebacker in the NFL this year to have at least 40 tackles, 5 sacks, 5 passes defended, and 1 interception. He added 10 quarterback hits, 8 tackles for a loss, 1 forced fumble, and a field goal block to that resume. Please tell me why you would want to take somebody out like that to put in a 39-year-old linebacker. I'm not going to sit here and say Harrison's completely done because he did play well down the stretch last year, and you would think that he could probably do the same thing this year. But he didn't play special teams. You start hearing all these things now after he left and signed with New England. He was late to meetings. He was showing up to meetings and going to sleep in recliners and snoring while Joey Porter's trying to coach up the linebackers. Harrison would just leave the stadium if he came and found out he was going to be inactive. I read a report that said after the Cincinnati game, he didn't even go back with the team. He rented a car and drove back by himself. Marcus Gilbert said he was, at one point, a great teammate. But when you look around and say, was he really that great to not be there for his teammates? I could never F over my teammates like that. Dupree said Harrison wouldn't even visit Ryan Shazier in the hospital. Now, I'm going to give Harrison a small slide on this one. It's kind of that Warriors mentality. Some people with the mindset like Harrison, that physical, scary player, they don't want to go see somebody in the hospital. It's kind of like a shell shock to them and kind of scares them and gets them out of that mindset. So I'm not going to criticize them, although if it was me, I definitely would have gone and checked on my teammate, considering they thought he might not even be able to walk after that. Pouncey talked to Tim Benz of the Pittsburgh Trib. Pouncey said Harrison erased his own legacy. He wanted to go. It's funny to read the stories. It's something he wanted to do. He needs to come out and admit that. Pouncey also said, if you don't want to be here, just come out and say it. Don't make it seem like it's a team's decision. You think the team wanted to get rid of James Harrison? Come on now. The team didn't do anything. If I wanted out, I wouldn't let the team take the blame. That's me as a man. I'm glad the team is being respectful, but we are going to speak the truth. Pouncey ended with, he wanted that. It's not like the team said, we want to let go of James Harrison. James Harrison wanted that. So with all these reports coming out, it's obvious to me that it's James Harrison. Did the team kind of go back on what they said at the beginning of the year? No, I'm sorry. I don't see it that way. Yes, he isn't getting the snaps that they told him he would, but it's only because the young guys have played so well. It's not like Watt and Dupree are complete garbage out there, and Harrison's just sitting there doing nothing. And then you have people saying, well, Moats gets to play and Chicolo gets to play. Well, those guys play special teams. James Harrison does not. And I don't expect him to at 39 years old. But really, to me, everything that's coming out, he's forced his way out of Pittsburgh. He didn't want to be here. He reportedly signed with the Patriots for only $59,000. Now he's only playing, one regular season game and then the playoffs. But I don't know. People are most worried, I guess, about the playbook. That's the other thing I keep hearing. The playbook. He's going to give all the plays away. Harrison's going to get... He's a Benedict Arnold. Guys, do you realize that teams know what other teams are doing already? There's really nothing James Harrison is going to be able to tell the Patriots outside of a few small signals that the Steelers defense uses, and they're going to change them before they play them. They usually get changed week to week anyway. Teams watch film, teams scout each other. There's a reason why division games are so hard even when one team is really good and the other team's terrible that season. It's because when you know each other, you know each other. Things do not change that drastically year to year in an organization. The Patriots already know what the Steelers defense is going to do. Hell, they were stealing signs from the Steelers defense 10 years ago when they won their first 2 Super Bowls. So there's nothing really that James is going to tell them that worries me at all. I honestly don't care. And then the other side of it, the Steelers signed Stephen Ridley, and he played in the Houston game. So why wouldn't he be able to give us New England's playbook? And it's been Belichick and Brady there for how long? So obviously not a whole lot's changed there. So it means nothing. Steeler fans didn't care when Ridley came here. Nobody was like, oh, we're going to get all the Patriots' secrets now because he has their playbook. No, nobody said anything like that. All they said was, where's D'Angelo Williams? He's so old and washed up, he should play for us again. Sorry, you're dead wrong. The whole James Harrison saga is just ridiculous. Social media, oh, I hope that the Steelers players can move past this and not look ahead and that blah, 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 blah. Guess what? The Steelers players don't give a crap anymore. They are focused on the task at hand. It is only the fans who are focused on this. The Steelers players have moved on. They're done with it. James is gone. They know he's gone. They got Gilbert back. They're 12-3. They're focused on the task at hand, and that's winning a Super Bowl and maybe beating the New England Patriots if we play them. But the first step in that is the Cleveland Browns here in Week 17. And we're really not going to break down the game too much, mostly because, like I said a few minutes ago, Ben and Bell are expected to not play in this game. Obviously, Antonio Brown's not going to play in the game, and they said Brown wouldn't be able to play in the wild card game had the Steelers needed to play in that round. So, going to be some players rested here in this week. I'm pretty sure the Steelers don't think the Jets are going to beat the Patriots. I mean, come on, that's pretty much a long shot. When you have Bryce Petty at quarterback, you're not going to beat too many people at all because, let's face it, he's pretty much straight garbage. I'd rather have Brock Osweiler than Bryce Petty. So that being said, the Patriots will most likely win on Sunday, and the Steelers will take on the Browns with Landry Jones at quarterback, and Stephen Ridley and Fitz Toussaint at running back, and Juju and Martavis on the outside at wide receiver, and Jesse James and Vance McDonald, who have actually had not too bad of a season if you combine the two. I know Vance has struggled with some injuries, though, this year, which has kind of set him back a little bit. But I think it's a good and bad move. I don't know if I'm sitting Ben this week, then having another week off, so that's going to be 2 weeks before he plays any real football games. Worries me a little bit about the rust. I am not a coach, so I'm not going to sit here and call them out and say it's a stupid move. But me personally, probably would have played the starters for at least a few drives, most likely at least the first quarter, unless, of course, they had some injuries that they needed to nurse. I want to keep my guys sharp. We've seen here in the last 10 years a trend has started where the bye week doesn't assure you anything, and there's been a lot of teams coming out of the wild card rounds that have made it to the AFC Championship game. And you've seen a lot of teams who've had the bye week come out slow because the other teams were a lot more fresh and they had some momentum build up. So I don't know if I like the move. Again, not going to criticize Tomlin. I think he's done a pretty damn good job. What have the Steelers lost? 5 games last year and 3 games this year? I mean, they're like 21 and 25 or something in their last 25. Like, it's a ridiculous number. It's ridiculous, the criticism that Tomlin gets. Is he perfect? Hell no. But is he terrible? Hell no. The dude does a good job, and I'm glad to have him here as a coach. As far as the Cleveland Browns go, there's really not a lot to talk about, I guess, right? They got Deshaun Kaiser, who's an interception machine. They got Isaiah Crowell in the backfield, who Hugh Jackson likes to call out and doesn't run him enough. They got Corey Coleman at wide receiver. They did recently get Josh Gordon back at wide receiver, who was expected to come in and play well, and he's played better than what I thought, at least after being off for almost 2 full years. But at the same time, nothing about these Browns team scares me. I know the Steelers squeaked out a victory in Week 1, but that was in Cleveland. It was the first game of the year. The Steelers struggled a little bit. Maybe not struggled, but the Steelers moved a little slow, I guess I want to say, in those first few weeks. Beating the Cleveland 21-18. Then they rolled the Vikings, but then they lost to the Bears and beat Baltimore and lost to Jacksonville. So a little bit of up and down in those first few weeks. But again, this is a totally different Steeler team than it was earlier in the year. Even with Landry Jones at quarterback, he beat him in Week 17 last year. I mean, this is just going to be the game that Landry gets to play every year. Maybe they should just let him play every game against the Browns because it's not like we're going to lose anyway, and it would get him some practice there in regular season games. But basically, all the Steelers really need to do to win this football game is just don't turn the ball over. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. Most of their offensive line is still going to play, although I think Ramon Foster has a chance at sitting out. I know he was a little banged up with some concussion issues, so they might just let him rest that brain a little bit. B.J. Finney played well in his relief last week. But seriously, just come out, play Steeler football. Don't throw interceptions, Landry Jones, and run the ball effectively. I mean, the Steeler defense is getting pressure from all over the field this year. It's not just one place from the outside linebackers like in the past. You're seeing defensive backs get there. You're seeing the defensive line get there. Hayward has over 12 sacks. I can't tell you the last time I've seen a Steeler defensive end have 12 sacks. I honestly don't know if it's ever happened in my lifetime, my 35 years on this planet. I know the sack wasn't an official stat until 1982, the year that I was born, but I honestly don't think that any defensive line for the Steelers, anyway, has had 12 sacks. So big ups to you, Cam Hayward. Big ups to that D-line, Stephon Tuitt and Javon Hargrave. You guys may not have the gaudy numbers that some of the other D-lines have in a 4-3 system, but they've been doing their job this year. Struggled a little bit against the run, but as far as getting to the passer, they've definitely done a top job for a defensive line in this 3-4 system. So I want to see them keep it up. Let's keep the pressure on DeShone Kizer or Cody Kessler, or I forget the other quarterback they have there, because who knows in Cleveland. Hugh Jackson will just start any jamoke at quarterback and lose a game. He loves to do it. He's only won one game since he's been in Cleveland. So keep that pressure on him, beat up Kizer, beat up whatever other quarterbacks in there, and this should be a pretty easy victory for Pittsburgh. Going to just jump right into the keys to victory here. Like I just said, it's just don't turn the ball over. That's it. If the Steelers can turn the ball over one or less times, they win this football game. And it's really that simple to me, honestly. I don't see the Browns offense being able to do anything. I don't see the Browns defense being able to stop the Steeler offense, even with Landry Jones at quarterback. So this should be a pretty easy victory. I would really hate to be the team that the Browns get their first win against, but at the same time, if the Steelers drop this game, it's really, who cares? Unless the Patriots would lose to the Jets, then I would be upset if the Steelers lost this game. But we don't think that's going to happen anyway here at the spread, so it's definitely a non-issue. Don't turn the ball over, run the ball well, and it should be an easy victory for these Pittsburgh Steelers. As far as my official prediction goes, if it was Roethlisberger and the whole offense was playing, I'd say they would put up 30 on the Browns. But with Landry Jones in at quarterback, no Lev Bell, no Antonio Brown, this may come down to the wire. You may see them have to go to overtime like they did last year when Landry connected with Kobe Hamilton to win the game. No Kobe Hamilton this year to bail him out, but they do have Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju's been playing well. Definitely like watching this young kid play. He won the Steelers Rookie of the Year. I expect him to have a big game here. I think Landry Jones can get Juju the ball. Juju's the type of guy that you don't have to put the ball right on the money for him to get it and make a play with it. Landry Jones can put it in the vicinity of the receiver. He's not the type of quarterback who's going to put it right on the money for a catch and run, but I think Juju can do a lot to make Landry Jones look good. So I think Landry Jones plays well enough. I think the running game gets enough yards between Ridley and Fitz-Toussaint. And I think the Steelers win this game 24-14. Nothing big. Might even only be 21-14. I don't expect a whole lot of scoring. I think Chris Boswell will get a little bit of work here. The Steelers have struggled a little bit to score points this year. Not so much in the second half of the season, but they definitely did early on. So you might see them stall out a little bit in the red zone again, especially with a lot of the backups in. So we'll lock it in. I can't really go over too many playoff scenarios with you right now because it's still all up in the air. We do know some of the division winners, but some of the other teams still have to be figured out. So we really can't even look too far ahead. All I know is the Pittsburgh Steelers have locked in that number 2 seed. They're going to be taking on somebody at home in the divisional round, and it's been a while since the Steelers have been able to sit down, relax a little bit, and then get a home playoff game after a bye week, and I'm pretty pumped up about that. So Steeler fans, stop worrying about James Harrison. Nobody within the organization cares about it anymore. It's not going to be a distraction. He's not selling his secrets to Belichick. They're not instantly going to be able to figure out our defense just because James Harrison is there. They pretty much already know our defense. And from what I've been hearing, Harrison's been sleeping in all the damn meetings anyway, so he probably doesn't know a whole lot about the defense to begin with. Obviously, that is a joke considering Harrison's been with the team for damn near 15 years, but at the same time, it just doesn't matter. So get your panties unruffled, fans. Follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Let me know what you think. Hate on me if you want. I've already been banned from 3 Steeler Facebook groups for calling Harrison a domestic abuser. Well, maybe if he didn't break through a door and beat his girlfriend with a baby in her arm, then I wouldn't be calling him a domestic abuser. So that's kind of on him, not on me. Fans, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/betthespread. As always, come back to YouTube, click subscribe, share it with your friends. Everybody loves the spread. 2017 season, regular season at least, already over. Man, does time fly.